Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday lunchtime. Welcome to Monday Lunchtime Live. I'm James and this is Pete. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Great to see you. Or, well, I can't see you, but you can see me. But great to be with you today. If you're jumping into the stream, please say hi in the comments. Let us know that you're watching. Come and join us, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. We'll see your comments. Say hi. Please join in with us as well. We're going to have a bit of fun today and hopefully have a good look back at what happened on the weekend and look forward to the week ahead. We've got some really exciting news to share with you today as well, actually, about some changes that we're making to our kind of weekly content as we progress through this time. Great to see some people jumping on. Hi, Veronica. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Kelly. Great to see you this lunchtime. Hope you've had a great lunch. If you've had it already, but if you haven't, then I hope you're having a good lunch. Let us know what you're having for lunch. I hope yours is going to be a bit more interesting than mine. Probably just a boring plain sandwich, as I've got to go and make it after this. But it's James and I this morning, and if you were with us on Sunday, you will have heard James speak on our reboot series and close that series out, actually. So we're going to take a little bit of time talking about that series today. We're going to focus on James's message from Sunday, talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to share with you some really exciting upcoming news about some of the things we're going to be doing online and hopefully in person as well. So there's some exciting news coming up for you. So stay tuned and stay with us through this Monday Lunchtime Live. Say hi in the comments and let's get started. So James, you spoke on Sunday, closing out our reboot series on part number 7 with the title, Where Do We Go From Here? And I love how you started this, because you started it by playing a little game with us, didn't you? Called Would You Rather. So some of you, if you've been following our Facebook page and our Instagram pages for a while, some of you may remember that we used to play this game in our social media accounts every Wednesday. We used to do a Wednesday Would You Rather, and every Wednesday we'd put up a Would You Rather that was based on something or a couple of things from the Bible. So we used to really enjoy playing that. It was a bit of a brain teaser, a bit of a brain scratcher about how we come up with those week after week after week. But if you would like to see the return of a Wednesday Would You Rather to our social calendar, please do let us know in the comments now, and we'll see whether or not we can drum one up for you this Wednesday and see what kind of engagement that gets, because we had a lot of fun putting them together, and I hope you had a lot of fun playing them as well. So, James, you're going to refresh us a little bit about the Sunday talk in just a moment. But before we do, I thought it'd be fun if we just played a little Would You Rather. And guys, play along in the comments as well. So let us know your answers, your preferences for these questions. So, James, I have to, full disclosure, everybody, James sent me a list of questions to ask him this morning, but I've changed them up. Because I thought it'd be more fun if we just asked him some off the cuff. So he hasn't seen these questions. So hopefully we'll get some interesting answers, and maybe we'll be put into an interesting dilemma with these. But don't worry, they're not too dodgy. They're just fun and interesting. So first question for you, James. It's a travel question. So would you rather travel the world on a shoestring budget in 1 year, or spend 1 year in any country of your choice in the lap of luxury?
Definitely shoestring budget, because I love seeing new places. Absolutely love it. So even if I had virtually no money, I'd rather do that.
Yeah, I think that would have to be my choice as well. Shoestring budget, go around the world in 1 year, rather than, as much as an exciting it would be to just kind of live in the lap of luxury for a whole year in some amazing country. I'd rather go down around the world as well. So let us know your choice in the comments. Shoestring budget, trip around the world in 1 year, or 1 year in the lap of luxury on some island in Mauritius or somewhere lovely that you'd rather stay at. What would you choose? I say question 2 then. So this is a food question. So would you rather spend the rest of your life eating only spicy food or only really bland food?
I'd have to go spicy. Having been to India and eaten spicy food for about 2.5 weeks non-stop, I think I'm up for the challenge.
This is a really tricky one. I think I would struggle with this. I'm not a huge spice fan. I don't mind a little bit, but it depends how spicy the spice is. I kind of need to test it beforehand, I think. But I think those first few weeks of spicy only food could be a little bit rough, if you know what I mean. So you might want to, make sure you've got plenty of water on standby, I think, if you're going to go down that route. But yeah, what would you choose? Spicy food or bland food for the rest of your life? Let us know in the comments. Okay, question 3. If you could choose to control one element, would you choose either to control fire or to control water?
Good question. I think I'd say fire, because I think I was really upset. Was it earlier this year? Was it last year with all the bushfires in Australia? And I think if I could control that, I'd be really happy. Because I think normally I feel a little bit almost like with floods and things like that, you can kind of float on top of that. But when fire comes, you're in trouble, aren't you? So,
although, you know, if you could control water, then you could also use that to put out the fire. So I'm not sure.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
It's interesting. I'm just looking at the comments coming through. There's some good ones. It seems to be a consensus around the shoestring budget, although a little bit more, and around the spicy food as well. So I think a lot of people are thinking, I'd rather have a bit of flavour in my food, but maybe a bit torn, half and half on fire versus water. So that's interesting. I'm not sure which I would choose. Probably water, I think, although fire is probably the cooler one. But water, I think it would be good. Okay, so next one then. So if you could only choose one piece of cutlery to use for the rest of your meals, would it be a fork or a spoon?
Definitely a fork. I can't understand how people can eat certain. I see certain people eat with certain things with spoons, and I'm like curry and stuff like that. I'm like, how can you do that? Well, you could use a spork, couldn't you? You know, one of those.
Oh, that's just cheating, though. Spork.
Well, if I go to go for one or the other, I go for a fork.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much you like soup, really, doesn't it? Because you'd have a hard time eating soup with a fork. I suppose you could if you.
My nephew Zach a couple of years ago was in a restaurant and tried to eat soup with a fork. So he gave it a good go.
I'm sure he was. He's still in the restaurant now, trying with a cold bowl of fork.
Where would this get back though?
Yeah. I like. Oh, Kelly says she'd use a spoon. So between you've got it covered. Then I guess. Yeah. You know, you can trade places or feed each other romantically. I don't know, whatever you want to do. So. The last question then, and this is a question you posed to us on Sunday. I thought this would be a good lead-in to you talking us through some of the stuff that you raised on Sunday. So your last question was, would you rather spend the rest of your life eating a succulent meal on a cruise liner that was sinking, or spend the rest of your life hard work, sweat and toil on the deck of a battleship that was sailing to victory? I think for me, it has to be the battleship, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that was part of what I wanted to try and get across, because I think just looking back on this series, Pete, we're looking at the reboot series that we've been through. We've done 7 Sundays of it, and if you've missed any of them, you can catch them all of them on our YouTube channel. And we began, didn't we, by looking at the lament and by gradually building from there, and by coming to a point of saying it's okay to say when it's hard, it's okay to say when we've suffered loss, difficulty and all these kinds of things, and we shouldn't feel like we can't take those things to God, because he understands it. He's happy, and he understands. It doesn't change God when we go to him with difficulties. And really, all I feel I didn't really share that much yesterday, apart from just saying to everyone, please get on this battleship and go in there and live for God, and go and do what he's called you to do. The thing that really was really on my heart all last week was, apart from the fact that God's doing a new thing, we all know, I'm sure all Christians know, that when we read the Bible, when we see in Matthew 28:19-20, when Jesus says, go and make disciples of all nations, he's not actually really saying you should go and do this. He's saying you've got to go and do this. If you're one of my disciples, you will be doing this. And I think it's a tiny reminder to us that we in this time when we can't meet on Sundays, we actually need to get out there into the community. We actually, wherever our kind of spheres of influence are. So whether you've got kids at school, who can you influence there? Whether you work in the community, friends you visit, a pub you go to, people that you know, counsellors, whoever it may be. Just look to see how can you bring Jesus into the conversation, and not in a weird way or a way that's going to put people off or upset people, but how can you talk to people about what Jesus has done in your life? And I really kind of finished by saying, are you on the battleship? Do you want to be on the ship that's sinking, or do you want? Because that's what this world is. Everything's fading away, but God's word will never fade away, and he's coming one day to renew all things. And friends, we need to be on the battleship.
It's a really great analogy and a great image for us to work with. And actually, I was reading this morning in my Bible plan this morning. I was reading through, doing a study through the Book of Revelation, which is always a good time. And the guy who's leading the study, he keeps using this same analogy of how God, time and time again, he's coming back to the world and he's saying, get on board the lifeboat, get on board the lifeboat, get on board the lifeboat, because this world is going down, and all of the broken things in this world are going to ultimately, be broken and cast away, and he's going to make all things new. And again, it reminded me of what you shared yesterday about getting on the battleship, about being on the right ship and going in the right direction. And I thought what you brought yesterday was a really great encouragement for us to really engage with everything that we've been talking about over these last 7 weeks, and to continue to make that decision. And we have to make that decision every day to some degree, but there's kind of a point in the sand at the moment that we have to jump in, and we have to say that this is where we're going. This is where I'm going to nail my colours to the mast. I'm on board this ship, on here until the end. I'm going to ride this train to the destination. And I think what you brought yesterday was a great encouragement for us to do just that, to jump in with both feet, to get on board the right ship, and to put everything we have as well into causing that battleship to steam towards that success, towards victory. So I really love what you brought. I really love that thought around the Great Commission as well, how you were saying about the go. And I think if you go into the Greek around the Great Commission as well, and you look at the grammar that's involved there, the impetus to go is not actually kind of where the impetus on that sentence lies. The impetus is about making disciples, and the go is just assumed. So it's kind of saying you're going to go, and you said this on Sunday, I think you said, therefore having gone, you will make disciples. And so it's that reminder again that as we go, we should always have our eyes on how we can make disciples. And again, not in that weird or pushy way, but in a natural and authentic way, because that's what I think the world wants, is people who are natural and authentic. Whether they agree with us or not, they're more likely to listen to us if we are authentic, and if we kind of, our lives line up with what we say as well. I think that's really important. So I thought what you brought was a really good encouragement.
Thank you, Pete. That's great. And I was very excited by the series when we first, with what we heard from God, is that we should do something we called the series reboot, because the world is in the process of that. And I think even just since we began the series, there have been so many changes to the world, haven't there? Just changes to our own nation in terms of what we can do and what we can't do. And there's been little, if you live in somewhere like Aberdeen or Preston, and it happened I think first in Leicester, didn't it, where there was this kind of localized lockdown, and that must be really, really difficult for those people who are in that area. And so we've got a real responsibility where we are here in Lincoln in the UK to make sure that we don't end up inadvertently causing another lockdown. So we just got to be sensible with the choices we take and the way we mix with one another, and not let too much familiarity creep back in, so it sends us back to where we were.
Yeah, I'd really like to actually just to go into the comments and ask you guys in the comments, anybody who's watching today, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, just to let us know about what's been your favorite part of the reboot series that we've covered over the last 7 weeks. So just to try and remind you, James, you're going to have to help me here in terms of remembering all of the titles and what we've discussed through the 7 weeks. So as you say, we started with the lament, and we talked about the transition from the gathering to the scattering, didn't we? And then what did you go on to after that? Remind me.
Do you know, we talked about emerging into the new, and then you brought us a message about living to change the world. Then I talked about from just operating 2 weeks ago, from just operating to abundant life, and then there was your message last week.
Oh yeah, that was about embracing the adventure. And again, I think what you said yesterday really followed on the back of that really nicely with the battleship. And if being on a battleship is anything, it's an adventure as well, isn't it? So let us know, guys, what you enjoyed in the reboot series. Again, you can watch the whole series back on YouTube now. All 7 entries are available. They're in a playlist as well, so if you want to watch them all back to back, you can inflict that upon yourselves as well. It might be a little bit too much to watch it all back to back. If you want, I don't know what it'd be, 2 hours of James and I back to back, then go for it. But if you want to space it out and catch up over time, please do. But let us know which entry you enjoyed the most, or if you enjoyed them more, then that's great. And we'll be starting a brand new series next Sunday as well. So, James, do you want to talk us through a little bit about that? I think you probably hinted about it actually a little bit at the end of your talk on Sunday. So talk to us a little bit about what we're doing on this Sunday.
Here we go. So we're going to be doing a series called Homecoming. So we're really excited about this. So what's going to be taking place is that we're really going to begin looking at where in the, both looking at where we are at the minute and the possibilities we have of seeing God invade our community, God coming into our homes, and seeing kind of, when we say homecoming, we're talking about our community, not just our homes, but seeing God really coming in his power and presence and glory into our homes, into community spaces, into the lives of you before people. Sometimes like with the prayer walk that we went on last Thursday night, I so often go up and down the streets in and around the church building and that kind of, so because we're sort of in the southwest area side of Lincoln, aren't we? And so often go up and down those streets and I say, Lord, how can we really look at the houses? How can we really get into the lives of and help positively influence the lives of the people who live behind these doors? And what we want to encourage people to start doing is to see God come and make his home in your community. So you might live really close to the church building, you might live somewhere else, and so it's not really just about our community as a church, but whatever community you're in, where you may work, your family, your friends, the people who you know round about. We want to see God really come in and be a fixture and a constant reference point, and someone who is welcomed into the lives of people in the community. I guess we're saying that we want God to make a homecoming into the community, so that over the next few weeks we'll be looking at that, and we'll be kind of anchoring it with various reference points in scripture where Jesus did exactly that. I even think about the homecoming early on in Acts of the Apostles, where Paul was on the road to Damascus, and Jesus himself came to Paul and he made himself present right in front of him, didn't he? And so it was like a very brief homecoming there. And so that's some of the stuff that we're going to be doing over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series. I'm really looking forward to getting into it. And we're going to be trying to change things up a little bit as well and bring in some different elements, introduce those into our Sunday teaching. And so look out for that as the Sunday services approach. And we've also, just to let people know as well, we've also made as a church in the last few weeks a significant investment in some hardware to help us with this kind of thing, and to be able to put together a greater quality of video content for you, including our Sunday services. So we're really hopeful that we'll be able to use that equipment from this Sunday as well to begin filming in a new way, doing things that look slightly better, that sound better, that overall give you an easier way to engage with us in a digital atmosphere. So I'm looking forward to utilizing some of that equipment and also getting into this series. I think there's so much for us in this. And I was reminded just the other week of Jesus's ministry, where he spent 40% of his time in homes, 40% of his times in the marketplace, and 40% and 20% of his times in the synagogues. That's how his ministry time was split up: 40% in the home, 40% in the marketplace, 20% in the synagogue, which I think has, speaks a lot to us about our current situation and where we believe that God is leading us to, and something that we can recapture perhaps a little bit as the church as well. So I'm really looking forward to this. There's so many great examples of in Scripture where God bursts in a sense of a homecoming, as we've talked about. And I think for me, that is the point at which God becomes real. When God becomes real in your life, it is when it's not just a Sunday thing anymore. And when God is central to your home and your house and your family and the way that you live, that is the point that really, for me, God begins to become real in your life in a completely new and different way. And so I'm really excited about this series, and I really hope that people engage with it and with the whole concept of homecoming. We really want to encourage you guys to begin to meet together in your homes. I know so many of you are already doing this in small groups, in your gardens, in open spaces, and to use that time not only just to have friendship and socialize and as good as and as right as that is, but to pray with one another and to worship together and to do all of the things that you haven't been able to do up until this point without doing it online or something like that. So we really want to encourage you to engage with that, and to, as you do, take a picture, snap yourself in it, pop it up on Instagram or Facebook, tag Life Church in it, and use the hashtag homecoming so we can see and celebrate with you as you meet with your friends, family, church members, and just spend that time together as the church, just ministering to one another and witnessing to the world around us as well. So really looking forward to homecoming. So alongside that then, James, we've got some really exciting stuff happening with our online content, haven't we, over the next week? So do you want to talk to us a little bit about some of the things that are going to be changing, sort of the start of next week, and some of the new things we're going to be introducing as we go into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm so excited about the homecoming stuff. Think about the people who you can bring into your home. They might not go to a church service, but they might come to your house or your garden. I've just seen that actually Catherine has put on. She said, I don't think our group is meeting up. I've not heard. So best thing to do is get in touch with the life group leader and find out what's going on. But so certainly over the next few weeks, we're going to be making one or two shifts and changes in line with where we really want to prioritize our time. We began a thing quite some weeks ago now called The Journey, and The Journey is something where it's our strapline at Life Church Lincoln is we want you to discover who God created you to be, and The Journey is one of the ways in which we do that. So as well as all our Sunday stuff and various other things, we're going to be we're actually putting lots of Journey content out at the moment, and we've put loads out recently, haven't we, Pete? I looked back the other day and there's quite a lot on there. So we've got 3 streams on there: Connect, Grow and Thrive, and you can dip into 1, 2 or even all 3 depending on where you're really at on your walk with God at the minute. And over time we're going to continue to add to that. What we're doing is from next week onwards, so this week we've got The Journey taking place 11 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. From next week we're actually only going to be putting out 1 new piece of Journey content every week, so that will take place 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. That will start from next week onwards on Facebook and YouTube. And we'll continue to add to it, but just with 1 regular one every week. There may be some weeks where we get an extra video or a blog or an article or something, or an interview or something like that going out, but that's going to take place just to allow us to be able to put our focus into 1 or 2 other areas as well. So the journey's still really important, but in terms of new content, we're just going to be adding slightly less from next week onwards. So some of the new things that we're going to be doing, this is a new thing that we're doing. So on every Monday, 12:30 lunchtime, it'll be ready for time for Monday lunchtime live. Every other week we'll also be doing Tuesday morning prayer, so that won't take place tomorrow, but that'll be taking place next Tuesday, the week tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. again, live on Facebook and YouTube. And we're also going to be looking for 1 or 2 other occasional slots here and there taking place. Want to let you know as well about every other Thursday as well. We're doing the Thursday night prayer walk, 7:30 p.m. at the church building. That's not going to be this Thursday, but it'll be next Thursday. So we'll put some more reminders about that sort of stuff in our weekly update, e-news, and we'll also be putting stuff like that on social media as well, so you know when things are taking place. So please stay tuned to all of that. But a new thing that we're going to be doing, and I'm really excited about this, and maybe you can share some particular things on this, Pete, but from next week onwards, in line with this shift from The Journey, we're going to be beginning a brand new teaching series, which is going to take place during the week. So every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. there will be a new message that goes out, and so it won't be a repetition of what's going on the Sunday, but it will be a new kind of slightly more in-depth teaching series that we're going to begin. And we're going to begin something with the Acts of the Apostles, and that's going to take place every Wednesday. There'll be a new piece of there'll be a new video that will go up, which will contain some really good teaching and will be really helpful, I think, with where we find ourselves at the moment. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that, Pete, seeing as you're going to be so central to that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series for us to look through, and I think it will work really nicely in tandem with our homecoming focus as well. Because as you read through the Acts of the Apostles, I think what we see is exactly what we've already talked about today. Is we see the church in action, taking the message out of a building. Well, they didn't even have a building, and into the community around them. And so, what we want to do is, by looking at some of these accounts in the book of Acts, we want to see what there is for us to learn from those accounts, and to how we can apply some of the things that we can learn there into our own lives, and the tactics and strategies we use to share what God has done in our life with those around us as well. So we've got, I think it's 11 weeks penciled in for this series. It may not be quite that, might be slightly more, could be slightly fewer. And we're going to look at some of these key accounts in the book of Acts and see how God uses people in these different situations to great effect to see his kingdom advance, and to see the number of people brought into that kingdom increase incredibly. So there's some really great stories for us in Acts there, and we've entitled this series, We Are the Movement, because that is really, in the book of Acts, we see a movement of people taking the good news, taking the gospel message out into the world around them, and people are brought in to the kingdom as they go. So I'm really excited about this. It's going to be a great series. I hope it's going to equip you, inspire you, and fire you up to do just that, because I believe the world is still thirsty for the good news of the gospel. People still want to be connected to God. People still want to know the good news that they can come back into relationship with him, and that they can embrace the life that they were always created to have. So I think that's going to be a great series for us. Really looking forward to it. We're going to have some good teaching, some great preachers come and join us on that series, as well as we go through and really unfold some great stuff for all of us to get hold of and to put into action in our lives as we seek to see the community around us transformed.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that. It's going to be really, really good. And so that's going to be starting next week. So again, just to recap on that, the journey next week will be going down to just one a week with occasional new videos that will be taking place on a Wednesday at 11 a.m. And then Wednesday night, we will be beginning this new series. So essentially what you're getting is you're getting two things for the price of one, because on Sunday mornings, you'll get a message, but there will also be, if you'd like to take part in it, and it's probably the kind of thing you can dip in and dip out of, or you can cut because it will be on demand, as well as just going out live. It will be available when you can take part in this other teaching series. #We Are the Movement. It's going to be really good, and I hope it will be yet another layer of understanding for all of you, as well as for us, that we really need to get out there into our community and see things transformed.
Yeah, and I really want to encourage people, as well as we engage with not only the Acts content, but every other piece of content that we put out, but particularly the Acts content, is to engage with the content. Put your thoughts and your comments, questions into the comment sections of those videos. Give us your feedback, because we all get better when we all give each other feedback, and we want to hear from you. We want to be able to pass that feedback onto our speakers, and they'll be able to answer your questions as well. So there's things that are raised in those sessions that you kind of sparks off a question in you. Put it in the comments. It might start up something great, a really good conversation thread, or you'll be able to get your question answered. And perhaps we'll throw in some Q&A maybe at the end or midway through that series with one or two of the speakers, to just come and speak about the whole series at length, a little bit more, to answer your questions as well. So write your questions down as we go through. Let's make this interactive. It's all much more fun when it is. And it's going to be a really, really good thing for us to engage with. So, James, we're going to wrap it up there. But last thing before we do, we just want to give people a brief update, don't we, on our building. So obviously, use of our building at the moment has not been taking place due to all of the restrictions that we've talked about in great detail in other places. However, we want to let everybody know that as of Monday next week, we are beginning to reopen our building. So initially, this will take place for those hirers of our building who've been using the building prior to lockdown. So this will be for our community groups. And we've worked really hard to make sure that our building is safe and secure. We've made some modifications in there, and we've put in all of the necessary restrictions and safeguards that we need to, in order to make it a safe place for people to use for small scale meetings. But alongside that, as well as making the building available for community groups to meet, we are also talking with our life group leaders and speaking to them about how we can open up our building for life group use as well. So we're really excited about some of the plans that some of our life groups have to meet in person, either inside of our building or outside of our building, if the weather's good, which I hope it will be. And so if you are in a life group and you're looking forward to meeting up soon, please do speak to your life group leader. They may have some news for you about when you'll be able to meet in or around the building. And if they don't, but you'd like to meet up in person, then let them know. And we can help you arrange that. And you can all come together either using the inside of the building or meeting on the outside of the building. We can do it safely. We can do it securely. We can do it in a way that's comfortable and a way that allows you to see each other in person, which I think is really exciting. It's the first steps for us to be able to begin to use our building to meet again, but it won't be the last steps. So we're looking forward to the other things that we can begin to start using our building for as well. So we're a little ways off in terms of meeting on a Sunday yet, but we are beginning to be able to meet again in smaller groups already. So that's really, really great and encouraging news. So I'm looking forward to that building being used again by some of our groups very, very soon. So, James, do you have anything else you want to share with us this morning? Anything else you want to close with? Or
I guess just on that, we've got some plans, haven't we, Pete? We're in constant discussion in line with the current sort of guidelines, just to begin to get a plan together, so that I know things are kind of always subject to change, and so you never quite know if they'll come off, but so that we can gradually begin to start doing things in our building on a Sunday, and then gradually reintroduce an audience, if you like, if a small group of people, and then gradually open that up. So please don't anyone think that we've forgotten you, or we're not doing it, or it's not top of our priority list, because it really is. We're in a funny situation with a number of things because of where we go in the future, but we're very confident that it won't be sort of too far away. So we're working on it, and but please stay tuned to everything we're doing online for the time being. And we look forward to seeing one another in person. All I really want to say is, as well as that, is just trust God this week. Whatever you're facing, just keep believing He's the one who's got the future in the palm of His hand. Enjoy life, enjoy the sunshine, and take the fragrance of Christ wherever you go.
Brilliant. Yes, definitely enjoy the sunshine today, because we may not get too much more of it throughout the week. I think thunderstorms are on the horizon for the rest of the week. But do enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you have a wonderful time, whatever you're up to, and God bless you as you go. We'll see you again very soon, everybody. Bye-bye.
God bless. Take care, everyone.